Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the Decent Christian Talk podcast. Enjoy.
Alright, Decent Christian Talk, episode number 12. First, before we get started with the big story, we have to talk about Soul Fuel, West Virginia. You guys need to go check this thing out. It's in Morgantown. It's a brand new festival. If you're in the area, you need to go check this festival out. It is July 22nd through the 24th. It is David Crowder. It is Colton Dixon. It is Trip Lee, Mary. Great speakers. You guys need to check this out. It's a brand new festival. Come out and hang out with us. We are sponsoring it this year, and we're going to have all kinds of things that come out from this festival, and we hope to see you there. Go to soulfuelwv.com and get your tickets now. Guys, thank you for joining us. So, I'm joined here by Josiah.
The one and only.
And I'm Gabe Jones, as always. So, for those of you that know, the Decent Christian Talk podcast has come from the Twitter handle at DC Talk Act 2. We have the decentchristiantalk.com. If you guys don't know that, you should check all that out. But all this started out for me because I'm a DC Talk fan. And I started DC Talk Act 2. That was the first thing that came out. And that was kind of a fun thing that I did, kind of as a not a joke, but just for fun, you know, just in case DC Talk ever got back together, you know, it'd be a fun thing just to keep up with everybody, and, you know, I never expected it to become as big as it was, but it did, and that's where we are now. So here we are, over 16,000 followers later.
And 16 years later, waiting.
Yes.
For this very announcement that happened today.
So for what? Let's not
jump the gun.
Let's not jump the gun here.
Okay.
All right. So last week, this was a big deal because I didn't have my phone on me. I was busy with some things at work, and I look at my phone, and it is, I mean, it's almost not working because so many people are trying to get a hold of me because they're asking me about this post that DC Talk has posted on their official page about 2017.
That's all it said.
That's all it said. There's a picture of 2017. There's a lot of speculation about what that meant. And then later on, DC Talk posts about, we got an announcement coming Wednesday. And people just started throwing out, hey, this has got to be an album. This has got to be a tour. People have...
this is it. This is what we
The intermission has ended. We are finally here. And so, a week or so long of build-up, and we get to today. We are recording on May 11th. And the hour of noon here on the East Coast comes, and we find out that it is not an album, it is not a tour, it is a cruise.
On a boat.
It's on a boat. So, the internet collapsed. The internet decided...
Exploded.
My
phone has been vibrating nonstop all day, killing my battery, because people are just blowing up about this cruise.
People have asked me, well, what do I think about it? But first of all, before we get to that, obviously the reaction to this was not what they expected. They expected a lot of positive things, and there were some positive things that came out of it. People were excited to see all three of them get back together for this. But I think in a large part, a lot of people felt alienated.
I think people's main concern... I like the cruise idea. I know a lot of people don't like the cruise idea, but if the cruise is all that they do, then there is people that are going to get left out. I think that's the first reaction that everyone had was, what about me? How I'm not going to either be able to afford it, I'm not going to be able to travel, I'm not going to be able to take off work. How am I going to get to see my favorite band? Yeah, like you said, they felt alienated because they can't drop everything for a week.
So the DC Talk official fan page has around, it's over 200,000 fans. And obviously there's more fans than that out there because, I mean, they sold, platinum albums. That's over 1 million.
That's
and
a lot.
So, I mean, they have a lot of fans. And so when you tease an announcement like that to an audience of at least 250,000 people,
and tell them that only about maybe 2,000,
and it ends up being that the cruise can only include about 4,000 people.
Okay.
That's. It seems like the hype just was not worth the announcement. The hype was about DC Talk getting back together,
which I am all for,
and that happened for sure. But the problem with this was the inclusiveness about this. A lot of people are not going to be able to appreciate what happens.
Do you think that, this is me being optimistic, do you think this is a feeler? DC Talk has been known to put their feelers out to see what people's reactions will be. If they announce they're going to play, Heinz Field, and they only sell 2,000 tickets, that wouldn't be good for them.
Well,
but if they announce they're playing in front of 4,000 people, and those tickets sell out in a second, will that open the door?
There were a lot of things that they did not expect about this. And one of the things was, that we just talked about, they did not expect the negative backlash. Another thing I don't think that they really understood was, after 15, 16 years, people still have this emotional feel attached to DC Talk that is just so, the roots are deep, and it's like, I don't think that they quite understood how important DC Talk was to people's lives. And I think that if there was anything that they learned from this, it was there is a demand there.
A very high demand.
Very high demand of people that want to see this, that kind of felt robbed by this.
Yes.
My own feelings of this are this. This is not something that I personally can enjoy. And that's not the entire reason why I'm disappointed in it. I'm disappointed because of the hype surrounding the announcement that, ultimately was a letdown. I'm disappointed by not being able to take my family, not being able to take my son. That was something that I wanted to share with them. And, I know that they never came out and said that they were going to have a tour or anything like that, but when you had an announcement that had David Crowder and Matthew West and all these guys coming out and saying, you better not be ribbing us.
Yeah.
What do you expect? Honestly.
I didn't expect a full 30-city tour. I didn't expect worldwide.
I didn't expect an album. I didn't expect a large tour. I expected maybe 10 shows.
I didn't even expect that. I expected major music festivals. There's
maybe 10 shows and a couple festivals. I didn't expect anything more than that.
You hit 5 to 10 shows. I know I go to Creation Festival every year.
Right.
That place can hold 100,000 people, maybe more if you squeeze tight. So I think if they play 5 to 10 festivals across the U.S., there's your opportunity to go see them. There it is. But if it's on a boat, you can't fit 100,000 people on a boat.
And it's not just that. There's a lot of other things. When I think of DC Talk, I think of the rock and roll experience. I think of sweaty, just mosh pits.
Crowd surfing.
I mean, just intense. I mean, there's just an intense environment. For those that ever went to a DC Talk show, they remember that intense environment. There's nothing less rock and roll than getting on a cruise ship with a bunch of 40 to 15-year-old middle-aged white middle-class people.
That's the people that are going to be able to afford this.
I hate the stereotype, but I mean, that's just what I envision. I'm sorry.
People our age, people in loads of college debt, people starting new careers, people that grew up on DC Talk are not going to be able to afford this trip.
No, and I think even for me, it's not even a thing about affordability. It's just it's just the convenience of getting off work. It's just traveling. It's just not something that
I mean, you're looking at maybe $1,000 round trip, if not more. And that's before people start. I mean, this is going to sell out in seconds, and then you'll find tickets online for $2,000, $3,000.
And what people don't understand is they see the lower level tickets and say, well, that's what I'll get. But there's only a limited amount of those tickets. Yeah. I mean, once those go, the only ones that are left are the higher price tickets. So that's just how those cruises work. And it's just, let me read you a letter that Toby Mac issued later on. So after 16 years of silence, we are thankful there are still so many passionate fans. Someone came to us with the idea of Michael, Kevin, and I getting together on a cruise, and we thought that would be fun, and it would be intimate, way more intimate than an arena tour could ever be. We've said no to coming back so many times, but this time we finally said yes. It can be so challenging for us to all get together with our families, going in different directions in our own bands and their families. We are sorry it is not everything you wanted. We would never want to let any of you down. This is one of those things where, and I love Toby, and I don't mean this to sound bad, but I think he is overthinking it. I think when he sees DC Talk, he doesn't want to halfway do it. He wants to do if and when that ever happens, he wants to do the large tour.
Yeah,
but there's something special about doing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 shows a year.
Yeah,
and
I mean, Haste the Day just did that. They announced they're doing one show in their hometown of Indianapolis, and I went to that show with my cousin Hunter, and there were people from all over the world there. In fact, there was such a high turnout and demand for that they put out a new album, and they did 5 or 6 more shows after that just because of that demand. And I mean, like you said, if DC Talk did one show, if they did the Dove Awards, if they performed one song at the Dove Awards, something, I don't know, bigger.
It's not something that they have to do a 35 to 40 city tour. I mean, that's not what I'm asking for.
No.
I'm just asking for something that could include the fans. Doesn't have to happen that often, but it has to be something that's more available. I mean, that's just, and look, I'm not saying that they owe us anything. I'm not saying that, but this is again getting back to, if you're going to hype something like this, you can't just. Toby says that someone came to them and with this cruise idea, and I don't know, I don't know fully about that. I know he's talked about this cruise idea for a while. We interviewed Corey Mann. That was actually one of the first interviews we did for DecentChristianTalk.com, and Corey actually talked to us about, hey, yeah, Toby wants to do this cruise thing. So this has been in the, excuse the pun, but it's been in the water for a while.
Oh gosh.
But
I mean, if he's wanted to do a cruise for a while, and these people that own a boat show up, I mean, it's hard to turn down.
So, the cruise idea is not a bad idea. It's a good
not a bad
idea.
In fact,
but the fact that it's the only thing
like he said, it's like an intimate show. There's going to be, like you said, 2,000 to 4,000 people there. That show is going to be incredible.
It'll be great.
I want to be there. I'm probably not going to be there, but I want to, that show is going to be awesome. If I get to watch it via the internet, I don't know. But, I mean, the cruise is not a bad idea. It is just, we want it to be the start of something instead of just that being it.
Right. And it could be the start of something. Toby said today in an interview with Wally, who we've had on DecentChristianTalk.com, he said, that really that's the only thing in the water right now. There's no other plans other than that. And
I think he likes to play things close to the chest as well. If there is anything in the works...
Maybe so, but I mean, history shows within the last 15 years that they've not done anything. So, I mean, I will say that the fact that they are doing something is a big deal. It's a big step.
I'm so excited.
And, who knows what the future holds. My thing is,
I don't want them to miss their chance.
The song says time is ticking away.
I don't want them to miss their chance. I know I'm not saying they're ancient, but...
No. And I think that they have a unique opportunity, really, to even have a bigger fan base than they had before, because not only do you have these people that were DC Talk fans, those people now have kids that were Toby Mac and Newsboys and Kevin Max fans. And they didn't get to experience that DC Talk.
No.
And again, that's part of my disappointment, because those people saw that hype for that announcement. They're like, okay, this is finally the chance that I'm going to be able to take my kid to go see DC Talk. And I saw so many comments about, I had to explain to my kid that that's probably not going to happen.
Oh, man.
So, that's tough. And like I said, I just hope that they see this. I hope Toby sees this and sees that there is a demand there. And it's not, and I know that some people just really they went out of hand with this and were not Christ-like when it came to their reaction. Oh. And, that's unfortunate, but part of that is because of the passion that's inside of them. That, something about DC Talk stirred something in their souls that, and look, we are the biggest DC Talk fans there is. I mean,
we started a website.
Yes. I don't mean this to sound completely negative. This is me having constructive criticism about this. I'm rooting for them. And I am somebody that has been a fan of all three of their solo careers, unlike a lot of people. I support all three of them. I just hope that someday, for the sake of history, they do something other than this cruise.
I do as well. And as a big fight fan as well, I mean, you always see the two big people fighting, and you're like, when are they going to fight each other? When are they going to fight each other? And then they miss it.
I know there's a lot of people that probably don't watch the UFC, but there's been a lot of occasions where
GSP
there has been
Anderson Silva.
And I know this isn't the whole reason people do it, but they've lost so much money because of a potential fight that they just kept waiting on, trying to build.
They want to make it,
and then it never happened.
It never happened, and then someone loses, someone gets hurt, and I feel like that's going to happen. Someone's going to put out a new album.
You never know. You never know what happens. I mean, the music industry is such a flimsy business.
I feel like this is the
not
most
only that,
opportune time since...
Oh, sure. I mean...
it's been a long time since they've had this good of an opportunity.
Yeah.
They're both... they're all three really torn. I mean...
Yeah. We talked about this on a podcast a couple months ago, that this was one of the few times where it seemed like the timing was lined up for them to do something. I mean, I'm not asking, again, I'm not asking for an album. I'm not asking for a 30-city tour. just give me 2 or 3 shows.
It's hard to make schedules line up.
I understand
because
that.
How many podcasts is this? 12?
Yeah.
And I mean, I might have been on 3 of them.
We've tried scheduling one every week almost.
Yeah, we really wanted. It's hard. People have jobs. People have families. It's hard,
but we love it. So we still
make
try
time
to do it.
We make time. We're not DC Talk by a long shot, but we're glad you're listening.
So, once again, this is not us hating on DC Talk.
I love DC Talk.
We love DC Talk.
I want to see DC Talk in person.
And I know
I'm going to be in the front row, and I'm going to have a real mosh pit, not like they have these days with the circle pits and the politeness and the little kids with. I want to leave the show with a concussion.
Okay, so
no phones, no smartphones out recording concert. If I find you in the mosh pit with a smartphone recording concert, I'm going to take you out.
So, like, that's a dynamic about a DC Talk concert that I've always been curious about these last couple of years. Like, what? Because if you go to a show anymore, like Newsboys or anybody like that, there's people that are seated, and they stand up, they sit down.
It's a whole different generation.
Yeah, that is part of it. There's people don't have the same attention span that they used to, but people also are determined to record half of the show on their little smartphone as well. And that wasn't the case in DC Talk. I remember when you and I heard Jesus Freak from Creation 96 like a year ago. Someone had a recording, and I mean, it was emotional even listening to that. Because
it's hard to find recordings of that because you had to have a whole boombox on your shoulder just to record anything.
So
that's why footage from that era is so rare, where you can go. I mean, I went to an Underoath concert about a month ago. I can find the whole concert online if I look.
Right. Yeah, so again, we're just sitting here hoping that one day. I'm not really declaring the intermission over. I'm not.
I feel like this is like a solo. Like, you come back from intermission, and this is like the song that people are like out, they're getting their snacks, and they're at the bathroom, and you hear the music start, and you're like, well, we better go back in, because it's starting.
Yeah.
This is that song.
Yeah, I just really hope that I really hope that cooler heads prevail when it comes to this. What I'm really afraid of, honestly, is that the negative backlash of this is so bad that Toby's afraid to do anything else.
I'm honestly afraid. I mean, they might cancel the cruise that people hate it so much. They might delete all their social media. This is DC Talk's first ever social media event.
Yeah,
there was no such thing as Twitter. There's no such thing as Facebook.
True.
Their first big thing on social media
was a disaster, pretty much.
So,
unfortunately,
I mean, it's like I said, it's a different era, and people want stuff now. People want DC Talk in their backyard, in their city. If they're in New York City or they're in Podunk, Washington, or like wherever, they want DC Talk in their backyard. And I mean, I don't expect that. That's not going to happen. But
yeah, I mean,
I get seasick.
People have expectations, and that was one of the whole reasons for this disappointment. People expected something else, and they didn't get it.
But I'm so excited that DC Talk is going to be on the same stage.
Yeah, that's
performing
exciting.
DC Talk songs. What songs are they going to perform? They have 4 nights. You asked me to put 10 songs together, what I would want to see in a show, and we argued. We had 20 different songs we were trying to fit into a 10-song set.
Yeah, it was tough, but I guess hopefully one day we'll find out.
I want to see all of them.
All right, guys. Hey, sorry for the downer of a podcast.
Well, I feel like I was very optimistic, and you were the downer.
Well, I'm sorry. It's been a rough one, but the sun comes up tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back eventually.
Probably.
It may take a while.
Maybe the next time they make a major announcement.
Probably not.
We'll
be back. We'll be a creation. We'll at least have something from that.
We'll hopefully get some people in person. We got a lot last year.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you for joining us.
And don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. Thanks.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. Thanks.